It is. Yeah, I know. Gosh, today is today. Oh, today is 8 o'clock on Sunday, and this is YJ. Hi, everybody. I hope you have been having a good week. I'm somewhat, what do I say? I'm somewhat laid back today and maybe a little bit low energy. I'm not sure whether that's because of some of the things that have been happening. This week I was listening to a lot of what's happening in the environment. You hear it's a season for exam results, and a lot of our young people are receiving exam results, and this is a major time in their lives. Apart from being born and perhaps losing their first relationship, exam results are really major. GCSE, A-levels, they've been receiving them. And unfortunately, because of the times that we've gone through recently, COVID and all of that, the way they've generated the results this time around has been different from before in some ways. They've been working on using an algorithm to calculate results for people in England and in Scotland and in other places. The problem with the algorithm is it seems, and I haven't seen the algorithm, but from all the information I've been digesting over the last few days, it seems that the algorithm seems to throw out results that say that kind of, and this is allegedly, if I'm wrong, please correct me, but it allegedly seems to be saying that the algorithm does not favor people in poorer or low income areas. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean that the algorithm seems to statistically say if an area has failed before, then it's likely or if the grades have been low in an area before, it's likely that the grades that it suggests that the grades that they will generate for the children today must therefore be low. And if you've ever taught children and you think about this, it's quite frightening. So a lot of children, I was watching the news the other day, and a lot of children were coming up on the news and they were highly disappointed. I mean, to a level that is heart-wrenching. I don't know if any of you have watched it, but it's really, really heart-wrenching. And when I think about extra and extraordinary, I think about the extra it's going to take them to get past this and move on into the extraordinary. So the title of what I'm talking about today is basically about when disappointment hits in our young people, how do we keep them hoping? How do we keep hope alive? It really is something that's been on my mind for a while. And I know, as an individual who has seen disappointment, that it is not an easy thing to go through. It's not an easy thing to go through. And if you've ever experienced any disappointment in your life, you will know that it can be heart-wrenching, gut-wrenching. It can be really, really traumatic. But you think going through it for yourself is bad. But now when you become a parent and then you watch your child go through disappointment, in spite of all the encouragement that you've given them, in spite of all that you've told them, I don't know if, I think that is far more painful, that is far more gut-wrenching than even the disappointment you may have suffered as an individual. So for me, that was what has been on my mind over this week. That was what I wanted to talk about, and I wanted to get your opinion on how do we as adults, having mentored these children, having groomed them, having given them suggestion that, hard work will pay. If they put in the work, if they put in the time, if they put in the effort, they'll get the grades they deserve. How do we help them at this point in time to actually not fall down and cry, not fall down and just lay in disappointment, never to rise again? I'm so frightened for the children of today because they've been through so much. And as adults, I'm trying to think, what do we do to step up to help them in this particular period? And these are the extra that I'm talking about. This is where we do need to bring the extra. That's why it's so important to me. This is where we as adults, it's time for us to bring that extra that I keep talking about, to make these times, which are terrible, extraordinary. When I was younger, I kind of sit back and think, you go through school, you go through life. The only thing that can disappoint you really early on in life is where if parents split up. That's probably really traumatic. That's the most traumatic thing a child can go through, apart from really severe sickness and other issues that, you know, they are unexpected. They are things that we can't do anything about. But most of the time, we seem to be able to guess at what's coming and prepare our children for this. But when it comes to these unexpected twists and turns, and then the things that we prepared them for, it's just been flipped on its head. How do we keep hope alive in our children? I pray somebody out there is listening to help me understand what is it we do. When I think about some of the stars and I think about some of the people I really like to listen to, they go through some distressing things. And I want to say to the kids today who've received A-level results, who've received O-level results based on this so-called algorithm, and they because of the area where they live, they've not got grades that their predictions suggest they should get, or that their effort that only they know and their teachers know what that they've put in, that they have reflected in the grade that has been stamped upon them. And I say to them that I've been through a time where I put in so much effort during my degree times. I really, really worked. I loved my degree. I really worked hard for it. And at the end of it, I never got what I thought I deserved. And I mean, it was gut wrenching. And I'm not being funny. It was gut wrenching. I had a serious moment there where I thought, I don't know whether I can handle this. I don't know whether I can keep going. I don't know whether all this has been worth it. It was really tough for me. It was so tough that I didn't even know if I would even get through that day. I can't even remember. And I got to the results board, and the results were not good. And this is the time when I thank God I had parents who were not just supportive, but who were strong. And the disappointment hit me. I don't know if anyone's felt that kind of gut-wrenching disappointment where you feel your whole inside, someone just kicked you, but not with their foot, with a sledgehammer. And it just knocked all the air out of my body. And the body is an amazing thing. When you feel pain or excessive, severe pressure or anything that is just too extreme, too much for the body to handle, it goes into autopilot mode. So my body went into autopilot mode, and I just thought, what am I going to do? No tears. I was just stunned into autopilot. And I think that was a reaction that probably saved me, because if I had thought about it or overthought it at that point, I may have done some really silly things. And I remember my dad saying to me at that time, these were in times where there weren't many people around like me at the time. And my lecturer, one of my lecturers called me, and I'll never forget what he said, because I was thinking about fighting and getting all my results reviewed. I was thinking about fighting all the way. And then I'm a very strategic and logical person. And in those times, in the early 80s, things were not as they were now. And he said to me, that if you fight this, you're fighting a whole system. And that they will make sure that that even if you win, they'll make sure that you won't win it. In essence, you wouldn't be able to have access to anything again. And I listened to him, and my dad said to me, look, YJ, if you want to fight this, we will fight with you all the way. All the way. We will take it all the way till we say, and I know my dad and my mum, they will stand with me, and they will make sure we fight to the finish. And I thought about all these things. I thought about doing that. And the disappointment I was feeling, sometimes you just want to rail. Sometimes you just want to be angry. But it was still too much for me. The pain was just too great for me. I couldn't do anything. And I thought about it, and I decided that I needed to move on. Now, the reason I'm telling you this story is not for you to move on. Don't get me wrong, that may not be the solution for you. But the reason I'm telling you this story is because when disappointment hits, the first reaction of the body is to shut down. And I think the next reaction is to lie down. And kids, I want to say to you youngsters that don't lie down. Because if you lie down, sometimes it's so much more difficult to get up. Sometimes when you lie down, and I knew that if I had laid down during that period, I may have laid down, I may have shut myself down, and I may have allowed the disappointment to sweep over me. And when disappointment sweeps over someone, it can also kill their joy. It can kill their hope. It can kill their motivation for anything and everything else. And this is why this season concerns me, because the way we as parents, as mentors, as friends support our children through this season is key. We don't want them to shut down. We don't want them to give up, and we don't want them to lose hope. But we do want them to call a spade a spade. It's very important to acknowledge that when something is wrong, it's wrong. There's no two ways about that. But it's also very important to help your children to take whichever action they want to take. Now, when I say that, everybody's action is not the same. Not everybody is going to react in the same way. Not everybody is going to want to go in the same direction. I look back and I think about, let's look at somebody who's really popular on TV, who's really, really well known. I think back about Kim Kardashian. And I know people are derisive and they've always got a comment to say about her. But you know what? In some ways, I do admire her. And I say this quite frankly because somebody, I don't know who leaked it, whether it's from the family, whatever, but somebody leaked something that was ultimately a personal tape. They leaked it and they put it out there for everybody to see, to comment, to do whatever they want with. She could have, and I'm sure everybody assumes that because she's famous and she has money, that it's an easy thing to have your personal things exposed on the internet. But I beg to differ. I put another slant on it. I think that perhaps she felt pain. You know, if you have a trusted person who leaks something personal about you, it causes pain. It causes embarrassment. It causes you query yourself, you question yourself. There's so much that you do when somebody disappoints you and they embarrass you and they reveal your personal things out there. It couldn't have been funny. It could not have been funny. And I say that quite frankly. I think people need to think about, if I were in her shoes, how would I feel? Now, having felt all of that, she could have taken several actions. She could have shut herself in the house, never to be seen again, die of embarrassment, not want to come out, lay down, give up hope, and disappear. But she decided to take control of her life. She decided to take control of the situation. She didn't, even though I'm sure she must have been feeling pain at the time, she decided, no, I'm not going to just lie down and let everybody have their way and spin off. Because you see, on that whole engine, other people were gaining from it. But she decided, nope. Whether you approve of her or you don't approve of her or her actions, she decided to take control. She decided, whether she decided or whether her mother decided or whether her family decided, I don't know. But the one thing I do know, and that's something I approve of wholeheartedly, that she decided to take control of the situation and make it work for her. And she is where she is today. And yes, people bring it up, but you see, she's got what she wanted. She's got what she's got, and she's got where she's going. So in the end, it worked out for her. So what I'm saying to young people now is, I know, I have been there, the kind of pain you're going through, the disappointment of not getting the grades you deserve, and people not giving you the access you wanted is painful, it's gut-wrenching, it is disappointing. But you see, you cannot lose sight of the fact that better things are still yet to come. This is only a junction in your life. And I know you're thinking, yeah, well, what do I know? I know. I've been there. And I thought, wow, where would I go from here? Because bad results, they do affect you negatively. Everywhere you go, you're always having to explain why you didn't get the grade that everybody else got. But in a way, it makes you inventive. In a way, it makes you ingenious. In a way, it gives you an inner strength that whenever anything else comes, you are ready to deal with it. So what I'm trying to say to anybody who's in the situation, and if you do see this video and you think it will help a young person, please share it. Please let them view it. Please let them understand that I am sorry for the disappointment you may be feeling now. And I'm praying that hopefully things are corrected. But even if they're not corrected, please don't lose hope. Please look at this situation and use it to start going towards your tomorrow. Whether that means you take action and you all join forces and you say, well, we want this change, or we want review, or we want an exam, or whatever. Or you decide that, you know what, okay, that was one avenue I was going and they've blocked it. But there are other avenues I'm going to take to get to where you want. This is a test of, do you really want to get where you're going? For instance, if it's university you wanted to get to and people have given you a result that doesn't allow you to get there today, what are you going to do? Are you going to sit down and say, well, that's the end of my dream? If you are, then I suggest to you one thing. Go and listen to Inky Johnson. You cannot let this stop you from moving towards your goal, because that's the intention. The intention is to derail you. The intention is to remove your hope. You cannot let your hope die, because you are the hope, not just for yourself, but for the future. So if it is that you wanted to get to university to do whatever, then don't give up. Phone the heck out of UCAS or whatever it is, or whatever clearing system there is. Find other avenues. Find universities that are willing to take you, and do your utmost to get the subject that you want. If you're not ready to go now because you're still recovering, then go for an apprenticeship and work your ass off and prove to people you are what you are. You know what you're worth. And if it's not that, and you feel that you want to fight this, then fight it. But please don't lay down and do nothing. Don't believe that, oh, there's nothing better coming. There is. But if you lay down and do not believe there's anything better coming, then you have missed the road. You have missed what was yours, and someone else will take it. I'm really sorry about these grades, but I'm hoping that things will change. Apparently there's going to be some kind of, I don't know, I haven't heard the news lately. But you know what? You are young, and you need to find that deep place inside of you. Once you've taken time to allow the pain to wash over you, to allow the anger to wash over you, to try and move in a direction. It doesn't matter if it's not the perfect direction, but keep moving, keep hoping, keep knocking on doors, keep making people feel your presence, because you are the future, and you need to keep on hoping and keep on going. I don't know if I'm talking to anyone seriously right now. I just thought these thoughts just came to my mind. Disappointment is something that you need to turn it around, and only you can turn it around. It can't be parents, because right now I can tell you how most parents are feeling. They're feeling helpless. They're feeling as if they did a bad thing because they told you that if you worked hard, if you persevered, you would get the grades. So they too are feeling cheated on your behalf. And above all, they're watching you in so much pain right now, they don't even know what to do. They don't know how to fix it. But the path you're on is a path whereby you are growing. You're growing towards the adulthood where you take the reins and you begin to decide what kind of adult you want to be. More often than not, when disappointment hits, we all lay down and we stop and we don't do. You need to keep going. You need to find as many avenues as you can to either get your voice heard or to move yourself to where you want to be. Parents, I know this is a tough time for you, and I simply say, stand by your kids, support them, encourage them, find other ways for them. If they need a time to lay down and recover, sometimes the hardest thing we parents have to do is to step back, say nothing, and just bring the tea, the cakes, and a listening ear until they're ready to discuss where they want to go next. It's a tough time, but we have to bring that extra not just as young people, I'm talking to you. You bring your extra by finding that inner strength in you, by not losing hope, and by turning this situation to your advantage. Parents, you bring that extra by being the parent, and stepping back and realizing that you have to give them time to feel the pain, to rail against the anger, to decide on where to go, and be there waiting, comforting, and listening. Because without hope, there is no future, not just for them, but for all of us. And we cannot kill the hope. We need to help rekindle it in our young people. Disappointment is, unfortunately, my first disappointment wasn't just my degree. Along the road, there were many more disappointments. But you know what? The thing about the first disappointments, which seem to be like you're going to die and you'll never recover, is that when you recover, you realize, okay, it hurt, it was bad, but I got over it. And the next time it hits, you will know that you can get over it. But this crucial time when it's so important in your life is tough. And we need to support you through it. You need to support yourself through it. As a black person living in the UK and as a black person living in the world, sometimes I can be cynical about whether things have changed. But you know what? There are certain things that I've seen, I turn to when I have to remind myself that, this walk was never promised to be easy. This walk wasn't going to just be something whereby I'd get what I always wanted, especially when you've got things going for you. It was never going to be easy. It was going to take resilience. It was going to take me getting up and trying to keep on going. And every time I'm knocked down, I have to figure out how to get up. One of the things I turn to in times of where hope is dashed, I always turn to my book. I'm rereading this again. This is my Bible. I reread it. I remind myself of the hope in it. Now, I know some of you might be atheists. Some of you might be other religions. Whatever it is you need to do, try and find something to rekindle and remind you that, yeah, the journey is tough. Don't get me wrong. The journey is tough. But you know what? You can get past this. This too will pass. And you need to move through. I'm currently reading a book. And this is such a cool book. Eniola Luko. They don't teach this. And it kind of ties very nicely into the fact that what you're going through right now, all the skills, all the pain, all that you will get out of this situation, they don't teach it in school. This is not something you can teach, perhaps. Maybe it's something that you'll only learn by going through it. It's a shame. I remember my daughter saying to me recently that if we knew all this was going to happen and we spoke to them and taught them, it would have saved her from going through it. Yeah, maybe. But if you've ever been young, which I have, you'll know that even when older people are telling you this, you think they're trying to control your life and you don't listen and you don't want to listen and no, life is not like that and blah, blah, blah. Even if we told you, guys, it wouldn't have hit you, it wouldn't have resonated with you until you had to go through something similar. So I'm sorry about what you're going through, but hope does not die. It just needs you to believe that tomorrow will be better. It just needs you to accept that you're angry, you're in pain, sure, but you're going to find a way to get to where you're going. It needs you to be resolute, resilient, determined, and use that anger to drive you towards what you've always wanted to do. There are many of you recently I heard a young lady talking very eloquently and diligently about how this will drive her to be a Labour MP. Good on her. She's used it as an engine to reinvigorate and refuel her determination to get to her future. Please, that's what you should do. Something recently gave me hope for the future. Just like when Obama came into presidency, I thought, well, maybe things are changing. We don't know. But the thing is, I remember when I used to go to school and I used to come home to my parents, they called me the N-word, or they called me monkey, or they called me this, or no, the teacher is biased. I love my parents for the fact that they would say to me, yeah, they're gonna be obstacles in your way. Yes, there's gonna be barriers. But you know what? You should push that wall as far as it goes. And when you pushed it as far as it goes, you need to start leaning on it. And when you lean on it, if more and more of you are leaning on it, one day it will fall down. Please, young people, don't give up. Don't lose hope. You are the future and you have the key. and you need to keep going. And if things need to change, isn't that what the young people do? They change things. That's for you to do. One of the things I'd like to celebrate after my thing about disappointments is to look at what has happened. I don't know if any of you got this. I got this, and my sister. I don't normally buy Vogue. I am not a Vogue kind of person. You might have guessed that. But I bought this Vogue for many reasons. I bought it because I thought this is a sign of hope. Yeah, this is a sign of hope. Why is it a sign of hope? I think it's the first black UK editor for Vogue, with the first black photographer for the front page for Vogue. That is important, and that is why I bought this, to record this time. And these are the flashes of hope you will see along the way. And there may not be many, but somebody was determined enough and kept on going to provide this hope for someone coming up. So young people, the future right now seems pretty bleak. The pain is gut-wrenching, and you're probably thinking I'm talking a load of nonsense. But I hope in some way, both for parents and young people, I've said something that might help you realize that there is hope tomorrow, and you need to find it in whichever way you can. And I hope we as parents can support you to support you through the pain, support you through the disappointment, but support you so that you will be able to go through those experiences, still come out tomorrow or the next day or the next day or the next day, or however how long it takes you to realize that you will take action, whether it's to pursue the goal you have by going through various avenues, or whether it's to take exams and prove your point, or whether it's to take action and say, well, you are going to say to these people who put this algorithm up that it's not acceptable. But whichever thing you do, don't lie down and do nothing. Don't let disappointment wash over you and tell you there's no hope for tomorrow, because it's a lie. And the truth is, you are the hope for tomorrow. This is YJ in Extraordinary. I'm just sharing some thoughts on what's happening around the world today with regards to the results and the disappointment many young people are feeling. I feel that disappointment is something we have to all go through, and it's so terrible, but you will get through it, and this will pass. Take care. Take action. Don't lie down and die for anybody, because you have the goods for tomorrow. You are the hope for tomorrow. You've got to find your way through. Bye. This is YJ.